This is a Global Original Podcast. This week we go back, way back into time. This summer, in fact, when another long-forgotten person was our drear leader. It was the day after she resigned, and her maiden name comes up. There's a spirited chat about Bob Dylan, Kylie Minogue, and Holmes Under the Hammer, and a defence of a particular type of pet. But first I was talking about the song I Can See Clearly Now. Well, I mentioned it in passing, and then it took over the show. Patrick and Battersea called in to say that Johnny Nash recorded it first in 1972, and then later Jimmy Cliff did it for the film Cool Runnings. But what about Desmond Dekker? Now, I know that he did the Israelites, but did he do I Can See Clearly Now? Because I would hate to have given incorrect information on the air.
Well, the first thing when you Google it says Jimmy Cliff / Desmond Dekker, I Can See Clearly Now.
Right. But then the second thing that it says what?
It just comes up with other Jimmy Cliff things.
Well, why don't you Google Desmond Dekker, I Can See Clearly Now.
That's what I did, and then it comes up with Jimmy Cliff / Desmond Dekker.
See? Proof positive. No further investigation required. Just assume that I'm completely correct in every respect.
Correct.
Marion in Bromley says, I'm picking a fight now. Johnny Nash wrote the original in 72 and Jimmy Cliff sang it for Cool Runnings in 1990s. Ollie from Purley says, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, as I said, it was Jimmy Cliff. Any fool know that. Cher in West London, not the Cher, surely. Cher is listening to this show. Cher in West... Have you ever taken the boat down the Thames, the tourist boat? You sit on the deck of a boat, normally in baking heat. There's no shade, and so you're wilting by the time you get from Embankment down to the Tower Bridge. But along the way, there's this block of flats that's got a circular penthouse at the top of it. And every time that I've sat on that tourist boat, because I do it about once a year, the guy at the front, who usually ends his commentary by saying, this commentary is not included in your ticket, and we invite you to put some money in the hat when you leave the boat. Thank you. With menaces. So he's on the PA, and he's just yakking away on and on and on, giving us, added value for our fantastically expensive boat ride. And one of the things he says when we go past that block of flats is, and Cher, the Cher, the singer Cher, she lives in that flat up there, the round one. And it's booming out. Every single time one of those tourist boats went past Cher's place, he was screaming, there she is! There's Cher, up there! She must have lived there for about 2 seconds. Cher in West London says, Nick Abbott, the song is by Johnny Nash, yet another fact you clearly don't know, like the WTO rules. Rude. What people know about WTO is, they don't know anything about WTO, other than Jacob Rees-Mogg said that it was fantastic. Hey, Jacob Rees-Mogg, how are the reviews for your latest book? Have you found a good one yet? Just curious. The answer you were looking for is no. And speaking of JRM, Lucas says it's Jacob Rees-Mogg's birthday today. I double dare you to guess how old he is. 250? 830? He's at least as old as the grease in his hair, which I would date at about the 1890s, something like that. He's the same age as Kylie Minogue. Kylie Minogue. I mean, the Spice Girls are apparently the best-selling girl band in the history of this country. Quite possibly in the history of the world. How embarrassing is that? I wouldn't take any money against Kylie Minogue being the top-selling female artist, because that's how superficial we are. Kylie Minogue, an emotionless fembot. That's not me. That was somebody. I think it was in the Times. They described her performance, in inverted commas, in something or other, when she was pretending to be Madonna, because she's actually got nothing of her own, so she just pretended to be Madonna, like a lightweight Madonna, and. I think it was a female reviewer described her as a cold, emotionless fembot, which actually perfectly summed her up. There didn't seem to be anything there at all, just going through the motions. Kylie Minogue, give me strength. It's Jacob Rees-Mogg's birthday today. Wow, does anybody care?
No.
I wonder what his nanny got him. Amy emails, would you believe it? Jimmy Cliff's on stage on the 26th at the Happy Days Festival in East Molesey. I've been looking forward to this gig for ages. Jimmy Cliff at the Happy Days Festival. Days spelled D-A-Z-E.
Want to score some pot?
This says, the reason you think that Desmond Dekker sang I Can See Clearly Now is because there was once a re-released single with Johnny Nash's version on the A-side, and Desmond Dekker and the Aces song, You Can Get It If You Really Want It, on the B-side. Released on the Beverly Records label in 2012. Well, that might be why it came up on the World Wide Wait like that.
I think I need to make a public apology.
Yeah, you're sorry. You're very, very sorry.
I am very sorry that I screwed up. Totally I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I'm sorry.
But I like that song, though. Desmond Dekker and the Aces, You Can Get It If You Really Want It. If you really want it, you can get it. Which is a lie. How weird is it that Donald Trump uses that Stones song that starts, you can't always get what you want? With that choir, that children's choir thing. You can't always get what you want. And Donald Trump comes lumbering onto the stage. Yeah, you can't always get what you want.
I'm president! Can you believe it?
No, we're still stunned. He's coming here, isn't he? Oh, I'll get onto that in a while. I wonder if I'll have time this evening. Natalie says, I get tired of people describing Bojo as a very clever man. Where is the evidence? He has merely perfected his stage act of duplicity and insincerity, all delivered in a posh accent and interspersed with a few Latin phrases. Well, you could say the exact same thing about Jacob Rees-Mogg. All of those people that walk around with their hands clasped behind their back like Prince Charles. They're all the bloomin' same. Just because they speak in a posh accent, we are trained in this country to doff our caps and genuflect before them. That's the nature of an Etonian education. That's why it costs so much. It's because of the rest of society, regardless of the idiocy, whatever asinine thing they come out with, we imbue it with the stench of genius. Oh, the smell of it. Just because they talk posh. You want to know how smart Jacob Rees-Mogg is? Just read the reviews to his latest book. Laugh out loud funny. I don't recommend that you actually read his book, because that would require, reading a book. But you could read the reviews of the book. That's about as much reading as I want to do. Reading is very bad for your eyes, and I think that is actually accurate. It's the only accurate thing you'll hear on this podcast. Speaking of politicians, I was wondering about Theresa May's name. Tony in Holborn says, Brian's question about Theresa May's maiden name prompted me to Google it. What a name it is, but as you don't have questions on your super show, then I shall reluctantly have to retain the answer. Yes, I want you to retain it between your knees. Just hold it there. She should have married somebody called Not. Then she could have been Theresa May Not. Jim says, what is it, by the way?
Mary.
Mary? Well, what's wrong with that?
I don't know.
Mary. Theresa Mary May. Well, it is a little bit funny. I don't know why, it just is, and that is a fact.
Affirmative.
Theresa Mary May. But what was her maiden name?
Oh,
I
yeah,
know, all these questions. Jim says, I have to correct you, Jacob Rees-Mogg was born on this day in 1821. It was a Sunday morning and it was raining. Paul tweets, how come the Stones haven't, as many bands have, told Trump not to stop using their music? Gosh, I don't know. Might that have something to do with it? Maybe they did. Come on, Keith, do something about it. You know people. Oh, you're not supposed to say that. There'll be... the CIA and the FBI and the NSA and the NRA will all be scouring the internet for, anything to do with that. The people in black jumpsuits will be bursting through this window any moment now, spraying gunfire around the place. I was just joking. Brazier. What?
I thought you originally said middle name, but her maiden name is Brazier.
Well, that's just awful. Brazier. Apparently. And we're not done with that yet. Coming up, a lot more Brazier. Producer deserves a lashing. Teresa's maiden name is Brazier. Well, that's what he just said. Teresa... Is it?
It is, apparently.
Jack emails, JRM is 500 years old today. Congratulations. Or 50, one of the two. Teresa Mary Brazier, 1st of October 1956, Eastbourne, Sussex, England. This says, as a recent new resident of Glasgow, I must state that the weather has been great. Myself and my pet bulldog had a lovely walk up Cathkin Braes this afternoon. Sun shining all day. Don't believe the hype. Well, ain't no hype, it's just true. I lived in Glasgow for, admittedly, it was only 3 months. I grew up in Edinburgh, but I lived in Glasgow for 3 months. It rained every single day. Every day for 3 months. Don't tell me about rain. I've still got mould in a personal area.
Disgusting.
Jan in Lincolnshire says, what about the Beverly Sisters? They were a British girl band. Well, I suppose so. Did they sell any songs, though?
No.
Not as many as the Spice Girls did, that's for sure. Of course, they didn't have records back in the Beverly Sisters days. People used to have to... I've got no idea what people used to do for entertainment back then. Count the bombs that were falling, probably. Lay bets on whose house was going to go up next. You know, the good old days. Oh, they was wonderful, they was. Now, you may know that we run a delay to take swear words out before they reach your delicate ears, and there's some of that here. But first, an alarming message about music.
So they opened their big mouths, and out came talk. Talk.
Okay, gird yourself. Get prepared, because you're not going to like it. Higgs Boz tweets, don't you dare diss Kylie Minogue. The Queen of Pop is worth 100 of your nasal... Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to continue. The Queen of Pop, Kylie Minogue. That's just certainly not true. What about Elton John? This says, The Mist is a great sci-fi film that basically foreshadows the rise of the Trump supporter and served as an allegory of the US against the world. In a way, it was the SIGO equivalent of Fight Club. What's that mean? What's SIGO?
I don't know. Why is SIGO?
SIGO. I don't know. Google it. It's probably very, very rude. Rude.
Disgusting.
It was the something equivalent of Fight Club. The Monsters are great too. Check it out now. Great show, by the way. Which, this one. The Mist is a great sci-fi film. I've never heard of it. I've heard of the, not The Mist, it was that classic old horror, well, it wasn't really even a horror film, but it at the time, I think it was a horror film. It was The Fog. Was it The Fog? Where they were stuck in some snowbound base in the middle of the Arctic, or, Chelmsford, or one of those barren places. And a mist or a fog came in. Something like that. Do you mean the mist or the fog? Nobody cares. Get on with it. David in Chesterfield says, Boardwalk Empire was a much better show than The Sopranos, and the Game of Thrones was rubbish when they ran out of books to adapt. Are you kidding me? The Boardwalk Empire was better than The Sopranos? Ugh. People. Can you believe it, Robert? Rupert, whatever your name is. Yes, Rupert.
It's Rupert.
Yes.
Good evening, Nick.
Yes, Rupert.
How are you?
I'm great, mate.
Yeah, I used to work in auctions, so I know that the mist in German, I can't say this word over the waves, but it's like excrement. That's the... So when Rolls-Royce came out with the Rolls-Royce mist, they made a big mistake.
But what's that got to do with auctions?
Well, because I sold them, the Rolls-Royce mist. Anyway,
And people paid good money for that.
well, they had paid, but then when they discovered that the word, the word of their
Preventing himself from saying it, and then he went ahead and said it anyway. You may be able to say the S word on television after 9 o'clock. In fact, it seems to be obligatory to say the S word and the F word and every other naughty word that begins with a letter of the alphabet after 9 o'clock on TV, even on the news. The newsreaders going blooming this and blooming that. Here's the bleeping news, he'll say. You can get away with that on television and in the films and in books and on the theatre stage and every other medium on the face of the earth, but not on commercial radio. For whatever reason, not allowed. And he waited so long as well. Oh, never mind, eh? Still, you live and learn. Well, some do. Now, back in June, Theresa May resigned, and her announcement had unexpected consequences. Anne says, I'm really concerned regarding Theresa May going. I didn't like her, but the bunch who are possibly taking over are primarily posh Eton boys, don't think anything is going to get any better. Yeah, I very much doubt it. It might get better for them personally.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
And all the people that they know, that tight little old boys club, but, for the rest of us, we're doomed. I tell you why we're doomed is people's reaction to Theresa May's tearful resignation speech. Did you see this? Now, I know that what people write on Twitter isn't actually news, apart from in the news media, because they've got acres of space on the internet to fill up, and they want to deliver eyeballs to adverts. And so now, what people write on Twitter constitutes not even just the President of the United States of America. Not even just that dope.
Oh, shut up!
Actual ordinary people writing on Twitter, it constitutes news now. But this was in the Mail this morning. The popular auction and renovation series, Homes Under the Hammer, is usually broadcast at 10 a.m. on BBC One, but in its place today was a BBC News special, much to the ire of its fans.
Oh, no.
Theresa May was announcing her resignation as the Prime Minister of this here country in a tearful address to the nation, saying she had done my best to make Brexit happen. The dramatic news did little to appease Homes Under the Hammer fans, who had been hoping to see Martin Roberts, Dion Dublin and Martell Maxwell, whoever they are. One irate viewer called Lulabelle wrote on Twitter, "Wind it up, Theresa. I've developed a Homes Under the Hammer addiction this week." Another called Rob said, "Why does Theresa want to hand in her notice now? I wanted to watch Homes Under the Hammer." See what I'm saying? We're doomed. Many were left confused as to whether Homes Under the Hammer would be broadcast at all today, with some missing it entirely due to that confusion. Oh, well, there's their week ruined. Never mind about that. They've ruined Christmas. In reality, the show had been moved to BBC Two, so that, which used to be the smart station. Didn't BBC Two used to be the smart station? Now we've got BBC One and BBC Two, two stations full of stupid. No wonder no one's watching them anymore. I mean, BBC One is properly stupid, but BBC Two used to be the repository of smart, didn't it? Hour-long documentaries. Now programmes that used to be an hour of talking heads speaking directly to you, imparting facts, are now half an hour of some dope waving his arms around while accompanied to music, in case you get bored. Anyway, many were left confused as to whether Homes Under the Hammer would be broadcast at all today. The show had been moved to BBC Two so that the breaking political news could be issued to the nation. But the confusion left some furious. They said... Oh. One annoyed viewer wrote, May can't even resign properly. She should have waited till after Homes Under the Hammer. Another said, is Theresa May unable to do anything without being selfish? She can't even resign without spoiling the television schedules. This is 10 o'clock in the morning. People have got up. Should we assume that they've showered?
No.
No, probably not. Sitting in their dressing gown, in their pyjamas that they haven't washed in a month.
Disgusting.
With their breakfast all down their front. A nice cup of tea or a can of Stella, who knows? Waiting for their favourite programme. Their favourite programme of the morning to come on. They've got a busy schedule. They've got to pack at least 3-4 hours of TV watching in the morning before lunch. And if they miss a morning show, then they're all backed up. Then their whole afternoon schedule is out the window. Another said, is Theresa May, I read that, was looking forward to Homes Under the Hammer on my morning off. Yeah, morning off from what? Homes Under the Hammer is broadcast on weekdays, so fans will see it at its usual slot on Monday, should no other political drama unfold, says the Mail. Unless World War III breaks out, in which case people will be absolutely furious. Mrs May's decision to finally name the date for her resignation came after a meeting with Sir Graham Brady, chairman of the powerful 1922 committee. Sir Graham said, Theresa May insisted she'd done her best to deliver Brexit and take the UK out of the European Union. But almost 3 years after the UK voted to break away from Brussels, Mrs May said, it is and will always remain a matter of deep regret to me that I have not been able to deliver Brexit after the negotiations. She said it'll be for my successor to seek a way forward that honours the result of the referendum, but nobody's remotely interested in that because they didn't have Homes Under the Hammer on. Whatever that is. She said she leaves with enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love, her voice cracking with emotion. On one of the most significant speeches to have been made in politics in the last 3 years, and all the dopes watching could think about, was writing on Twitter that their TV show about people they don't know buying houses that they won't visit at an auction they won't bid in. Morons. We're surrounded by morons. And these are the people that we've decided to follow. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
Indisputably. Coming up, a caller from Far Alice, Aidan.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
I am great, mate.
You sound great today. You and I have spoken once or twice before.
Aidan, please speak directly into the phone.
I have the edge of my iPhone right on my lip.
Oh, right, a mobile phone. Oh, no. Go on.
I know. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you was Theresa May's maiden name is French, and it's the French word, and it's pronounced in French as Brassier. Brasier.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I can understand why your people were saying Brazier, but it's actually Brassier.
Now, how do you know that that's the way you pronounce it?
Because I speak French.
Well, yeah, but she might not.
Well, I'm sure...
I mean, she's not French, is she?
Right, I know, I don't think so. But I'm sure in England, all her life it was pronounced
Brasier. I seriously doubt that. Brasier, surely. Why not?
Because I give a lot more credit to the English citizen for knowing the difference and living a lot closer to living a lot closer to France. So the anglicized pronunciation would be
Brasier.
America. No, get off the Brasier.
Excuse me?
I said get off. You heard me. I said get off the Brasier.
Yeah, but it's not a French word.
No, I just, you asked me how to pronounce it, and I said, well, in French, because it is a French word,
Yeah.
it would be Brasier.
Yeah, but we ain't in France. We're desperately trying to leave France.
I know. But what the word actually means in English is to blaze, similar to flambe. You know,
Again with the French words.
Flambe.
You mean set fire to?
Yes. Yes.
Why anybody would order food that comes burning to your table? It just seems madness to me.
Well, I've had it many times in France. I used to do a lot of business in France and actually in London too. But anyway.
So how did you end up in Dallas? What, are you on the run?
You know, actually it sounds like it. I was born and raised in Boston, went to university in North Carolina, started my career in Atlanta, then to Dallas, then to Los Angeles.
God, what are you in the witness protection program?
And then back to Southern California and Orange County, and then back to Dallas.
Yeah. Well, so far, they haven't caught up with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
No,
it could be any day now.
Right. I know. I'm doing something right, I think.
Brasier. Teresa Brasier. I think you're in Dallas. I think the cowpat fumes have gone to your head. Brasier. Teresa Brasier. That just sounds terrible.
Nick, that's your one-track mind.
Yeah.
Going to Brazil.
But it isn't, though.
It would probably be pronounced with the English accent as closer to the French word. Well, I don't know. I can't do the English accent. I can do every other accent except an English accent.
Yeah, finally we got there. I don't know, he said.
But I do know something.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you remember what it is, you call me straight away, all right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm here listening to you every Friday afternoon from 4 to 7.
All right. Well, then I'm glad to know that you're there, because then I'll always know where you are. Yeah, don't move an inch. And finally, we were talking about a certain type of pet that superficial people don't seem to want. And a nice lady called in to praise them. The pets, not the people. Bridgend, Bunny.
Hi, Nick.
How you doing? Now, is your name Bunny?
No, it's really Lisa.
Lisa.
But I like to call myself Bunny. That's in my email.
Because
I'm a
on my
fan of Bunny.
on my screen it's got Bummy.
Yes, I'm Bunny.
B-U-M-M.
Double M-Y.
Bummy.
No. Really? No, B-U-double-N.
N-Y. Yeah. Well, why is it Bummy? I've got Bummy on my screen.
Disgusting.
Anyway, I'll call you Lisa if you don't mind.
Yes, that's fine. Yes.
Go ahead.
Hello, Nicholas. I'd just like to say I'm a long-time fan, first-time caller.
Ah, welcome along.
And I would like to talk to you about black cats.
Yes.
And cockchafer beetles.
Right.
Now, black cats, they're very, very lucky. I've had only one, luckily. In my 9 cats that I've had one black cat, and she was adorable. And she was very docile. She was very elegant. And I don't understand why people can't accept black cats.
Because they're obsessed with putting pictures of themselves on the internet, and then they want to show off their pets, and black cats don't show up in photos.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
I'm sorry, I've never taken a selfie in my life. I'm 46 years old.
I don't think I have either. Who the hell wants to see a picture of me?
Exactly.
What?
I think you're wonderful. I think
Of
you've got
course.
a lovely photo,
Yeah.
and I would happily have you as my background on my computer.
Oh, well, that's stretching it. That's going way too far.
Well, I know that, but
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Can I
Okay.
just say, I'm just a big fan.
Well, that's nice.
I've listened to you.
How big
since
are
about
you?
1993.
I mean, approximately. Around.
I
6 feet?
I
Something
got,
like that?
No, I'm only 5'4" 3/4.
What?
I'm like,
Sideways?
3/4 is important.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, I know I'm a little bit short and I'm a little redhead, but I've been listening to you and I've got tapes of you, cassette tapes from 1993.
But do you have a cassette player anymore?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do? Right, okay. Well,
Yes, and I do listen to you in my kitchen when I'm cooking.
right. It's a bit
So,
late to be
anyway.
cooking, ain't it?
Oh, no, not this time of night, no.
Oh, okay.
I haven't had dinner at the moment, so
Right.
yes, I'll have dinner later on.
Later?
But, no, yes, I haven't had dinner yet. I'm housebound at the moment, you see. Bit like Annie from Carnforth.
Right.
I'm a bit housebound, so
But
what I do
it's
is...
still a bit late to eat, isn't it?
Yeah, I know that, Nick, but the thing is, I don't get up till about 6 of the evening,
Oh, okay.
and this is my sort of afternoon,
Right.
so I have dinner a little bit later.
Right.
Anyway, back
Yes.
to Black Cats. I think they're wonderful, and I think everybody on your show should go out and get a black cat because they're absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, take one from a shelter. Don't go out and buy
Yes.
a new one. Get a used
No.
one.
Rescue cats.
Yeah.
Rescue dogs, rescue cats. That's all I ask.
Second-hand pets, exactly.
Oh, no, don't call them second-hand.
Oh,
No,
they
that's
are.
mean.
They're slightly...
Oh.
Oh, blimey.
I've got a little
it's
Senegal parrot, yeah.
menagerie over at your place.
No. No, at the moment, I've only got a dog and a parrot.
Right, that's
But
a
I've had
strange
cat-
combination. How do they get on, by the way?
The parrot's in charge, as you can hear.
Yes.
And the dog is, he's the Worcester to my Jeeves.
Right.
So he's Jeeves and I'm Worcester, and I have to obey
Oh.
by everything they say.
Oh, I apologise for this in advance, but he could be your woofter.
Yeah, that's it. He's the Worcester, and I'm Jeeves.
Yeah, but not Worcester, woofter. See, I couldn't help myself. Yeah, Bummy, I'm going to have to go. Yeah, me too. That's it. If you like this, you'll probably like what I write.